Thanks for joining David, Kevin, and myself for the market update for the month of August. Markets were friendly again in August. The U.S. market, as measured by the S&P 500, was up 1.4%. The Canadian stock market, as measured by the S&P TSX, were up a robust 3.72% in August. And the European and Asian stock markets, as measured by the MSCI EAFE index, was up 3.11%. Again, really nice market in August, but as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call, but I'm going to pass you over to the guys and they're going to do a little bit more deeper dive on what happened in August. Thanks. Take care.
Statistics Canada reported that our economy contracted in the second quarter of this year, as we saw US tariffs and trade uncertainty play negative roles in Canada's exports. Canada's real gross domestic product, which is our GDP adjusted for inflation, declined by 1.6% in the second quarter after a sharp drop-off in exports and business investment. Now, this was after we saw a 2% annualized growth in the first quarter of this year. Now, the month of August saw a lot of talk around Trump. So, David, why don't you talk to us about Trump and the tariffs?
So again, the latest on the tariffs is that just before the Labor Day long weekend, a lower court in the United States ruled against Trump, saying that he exceeded his authority in imposing these tariffs. So that case has now been kicked back to the appeals court, and they're going to decide on whether that ruling applies to just the plaintiffs in that particular case or every trade party that has faced these tariffs. So more than likely what it's going to happen is it's going to end up before the U.S. Supreme Court, and the U.S. Supreme Court in recent years has certainly shown a history of siding with Trump, especially when it comes to matters of executive authority. So there's a lot of humming and hawing over the legal merits of these tariffs that Trump has instituted, but in all likelihood, they're probably here to stay. And that seems to be how other world leaders like Carney are currently operating. They're operating as if these tariffs are here to stay, and they're going to have to, navigate them accordingly based on, trade deals with Trump directly.
In other Trump-related news, the president continues to butt heads with the U.S. Federal Reserve. Most recently, Trump and Lisa Cook, who's a U.S. Federal Reserve governor, were embroiled in a feud after the president's controversial attempt to fire her from the board. Now, Lisa Cook is the first Black woman named to the board, and she was originally appointed by President Joe Biden and then reappointed for a 14-year term, which doesn't end until 2038. Now, Lisa has continually supported Fed Chair Jerome Powell's decisions, including the decision to hold interest rates steady during periods of inflation. Now, Trump has accused Cook of mortgage fraud, claiming that she has misrepresented her primary residence on loan application forms. And when announcing her removal, he cited a lack of trust and integrity as the reasons for removing her. Now, Lisa has denied these allegations, and she also argues that President Trump doesn't have the legal authority to fire her. She has launched her own lawsuit challenging her dismissal. Now, this story is significant because it marks the first time a U.S. president has attempted to fire a sitting Federal Reserve board member. In some of the fallout from this feud, we've seen long-term yields on 30-year U.S. Treasuries spike in recent weeks. It's also raised concerns over the independence of the central bank and the politicization of monetary policy in the United States.
In other news, in the month of August, NVIDIA, the largest U.S. publicly traded company, announced its second quarter earnings. It announced reported sales of US $46.7 billion over its fiscal second quarter, which was a 56% year-over-year increase, which beat analyst expectations. But looking ahead, it forecasted that its third quarter sales would come in at about $54 billion, which was simply in line with expectations. And this company's been blowing analyst expectations out of the water for the past several years, which is part of the reason why it's become the largest company in the United States. It's obviously highly profitable and has tremendous revenue growth, but that revenue growth may be slowing at this point a little bit. And so they're there's a little bit of concern, I guess, in the market for US mega cap tech stocks as a result, and just companies that are beneficiaries of investment in AI. There's maybe some concern beginning to percolate that investment by these mega cap companies in AI may be slowing, or maybe it's overdone. Or that the benefits of AI may be overstated. Obviously, all these things are massive questions that the markets are trying to wrestle with. But CEO Jensen Huang of NVIDIA did reiterate that they anticipate spending somewhere between $3 and $4 trillion by decade's end in AI infrastructure investment. So they manufacture the leading GPUs that are obviously very important for artificial intelligence, machine learning, things of this nature that are going to drive growth. And the other thing that NVIDIA has been working on in the background with the United States government is to sell some of their latest chips in China in exchange for the US government taking a small piece of those revenues. So there's obviously a lot happening in this space, and it's an exciting part of the market for future growth. And it's something that, obviously we and the portfolio managers that we partner with are very much, interested in going forward.
Well, we hope you all enjoyed your summer, and as life starts to get back to normal, if you want to discuss your portfolio or look at updating your plan, feel free to give Harry, David, or myself a call anytime.
Take care.